Thinking you're gonna fuck with Gotta get paid to get laid, y'all.
Ever seen the video where kid behind a camera shoves his 2-year-old nephew to the ground by his face and then shoves his shoe in the same child's face until his head is forced backwards? Also the one where AGP throws a toy truck at a 4-year-old's head.
Yep, and I did talk to Mike about that stuff, and Mike's answer was very simple. Those were sketches.
About a week ago, after seeing a video by Primink, I released a video talking about the abuse that has occurred on the Angry Grandpa and Kid Behind a Camera channels. And one person whose opinion I really wanted to hear on this topic was Boogie2988. He's an advocate against abuse based on his own personal history with it, and he's also a very close friend of Michael from Kid Behind a Camera. I tried tweeting at Boogie, even including clips of the abuse I was referencing. He wasn't able to respond because he's a super busy guy. He probably gets thousands of tweets a day. But then I remembered that he has a Twitch stream and he accepts text-to-speech donations, so I sent him a donation and asked if he had seen the abuse videos. And before we get into Boogie's response, I did just want to show you the exact clips that I was referencing in that text-to-speech donation.
Keep putting that pressure back.
So we're going to get into Boogie's response, and I'll give my opinions about the things that he says along the way, but I also wanted to make people aware that there is an interview coming out this week where Boogie's going to interview Kid Behind a Camera about a bunch of things, including the alleged abuse that has been uploaded to his channel. So I sort of wanted to use this video as an opportunity to educate people and show people the clips that they may or may not be referencing in the interview, and also talk about how Boogie may or may not be making excuses for Michael of Kid Behind a Camera.
Those are just sketches, like when, you know, like the Michael Myers Christmas one and stuff. And that's Mike's answer, and I believe him. He said it's old school shit. It's like he said to me, and you tell me if you think this is fair, but this is what he said to me. He's like, Boogie, it's like somebody saying you beat your wife because you were throwing Pokemon cards at her. Obviously, you don't beat your wife. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's true.
And you know, that is a valid excuse. You know, throwing Pokemon cards at your wife is not abuse, obviously. Boogie's not an abuser. But it's not an excuse for pushing a 2-year-old child to the ground by their face, shoving a shoe in their face, throwing this kid to the ground like you're about to see, in addition to all of the psychological torment that I think was put upon these children.
So, yeah, that's pretty obvious then, I guess. But I have seen those videos taken out of context, and then I've seen them in the context. I'm curious as to what you think, concerned citizen. But that's what Mike said during the interview, and I'm curious as to what you think. But that's what Mike's answer was during the interview. Those are clearly just sketches.
And yes, all of these Michael Myers videos that are being referenced were operated under the premise of a sketch. And you can see the kids smiling here. I'm sure there were plenty of good times while this stuff was being filmed, but there were also a lot of not so good times and a lot of very real moments that are either the greatest acting I've ever seen or actual kids being tormented. And what you're about to see is a clip of Michael from Kid Behind a Camera dressed up as Michael Myers, allowing his nephews to play violent video games, and then when the game makes them upset, he does not allow them to leave the room.
Michael! Wait, what happened? You can go.
You know? The kid knew what was going to happen. The kid was rewarded for letting him happen. You know, get in the cage, and this is me pretending to be Michael Myers. This is a joke. And the kids knew what was going on.
Yeah, maybe these kids were given a script, maybe they knew what was coming, and you could even argue that maybe the older kid was acting. I don't know what his legitimate crying face looked like, but when I see this small child trying to pry open the door with his hands, desperately grasping at the doorknob, none of that comes off as acting to me. And let me just get one thing straight. I do not want this to be a hit piece on Boogie2988. I really like Boogie as a person from what I've seen. Some of his videos on depression have legitimately helped me out a lot, and he seems like a genuine guy, which leads me to believe that either he hasn't seen the clips that we're looking at today, or he has seen them, and he's just in denial because he wants to believe that his friend Michael is a good person.
He doesn't do that. Now, of course, that was 2007 Michael. Michael doesn't do that with the kids anymore. He doesn't use them for that stuff anymore. But that was him back in 2007. But yeah, it was pretty. I don't know if I had a kid, if I would monetize my kid, even for something like super positive.
So Boogie says that that's the old Michael. He gets very close to saying it's fucked up and says that he would never monetize his children for any reason, even if it wasn't something dark like this, which leads me to believe he does have a moral issue with what was going on the channel. And my main issue with the rationale that Michael's a changed person and he doesn't do this stuff anymore is that Michael never had to answer for his actions. He just became rich and famous on YouTube. And if the nephews look to him as an example, or God forbid, a role model, they'll see that you can torment people and not treat people very well, and you'll just become famous and get to live in a mansion.
But anyway, watch the interview. You'll see what Mike has to say. But what Mike said is those are just basically sketches, and the kids knew, and everything was fine. No one's actually abusive in the house. And here's the thing, Mike locking a kid in a cage for Michael Myers is one thing. Daddy-O5 punching his child is another. I think those are very different things. You may not, but...
So Boogie decides to compare Michael locking his nephew in a cage to the whole Daddy-O5 situation, which is a good comparison. They're very different things, and I just want to show you this clip so that you can see how innocent and scripted it is.
It's time.
Can I please get out, please? Not until it gets dark.
So yeah, you can see that it's definitely scripted, but he does get a little bit rough with the kid in these clips. I mean, nothing as bad as punching a kid in the face, but still, it makes me uncomfortable to watch, and it must have been uncomfortable for the kid to experience.
Boogie, you know better? Well, I've seen the videos, and I know what I see in those same videos. But the good news is, regardless, Michael doesn't film that type of video anymore. It hasn't for like 8 years, 10 years maybe? If it was still going on, I would be pretty concerned about it, but it's not going on.
So he just said right there that he'd still be concerned if this was going on today, which leads me to believe that he does have a problem with what was occurring, but I still don't think that he's seen every clip we've shown here today, or I think he would be outright condemning it.
I honestly to God think Michael is mentally and emotionally messed up from years of abuse from angry grandpa. I think he is too, in the same way I am. But does that mean I beat my ex-wife? Does that mean I punch kids? No. But yeah, Mike has his issues. I have my issues too. Holy shit, dead horse. Can I skin a dead horse? But you guys can watch the interview to see what I have to say about all that. But
So I feel like Boogie's giving us slightly mixed messages here. He says that he would still be concerned if it was happening today. However, he claims that it was all just sketches and the kids were acting and everyone was in on it, and the kids were even getting rewards for being in the sketches. And the reward thing really doesn't sit well with me, because if you're having your kid involved in a fun sketch, why would you need to give them a reward afterwards? It seems as though you're almost subjecting them to something, therefore they need some fun, happy thing afterwards in order to feel better about it. And overall, I do think that Boogie's a good person. At least I want to believe that he's a good person based on everything I've seen on his channel over the past few years that I've been watching him. But I think he's going a little bit too far to defend his friend, and he's not willing to look into it enough. I really want to believe he hasn't seen all of the abuse clips, because if he has seen all of the abuse clips and he isn't condemning it, then I think he's doing something extremely irresponsible. So I do heavily encourage you to watch Boogie2988's interview with KidBehindaCamera when it does come out. And remember the clips that you saw here today, the clips you saw in my previous video and Primink's video, and then make a decision of how you think Boogie is handling it. Please do not just blindly give Boogie hate for this. We don't know how much information he really has about the situation or his full opinions on the topic. We will have to watch the interview for all that information, but I'm very excited for the interview to come out because I would like to see him grill KidBehindaCamera and really call him out on some of his issues, but we'll have to wait for that to happen in order to talk about it. But I will probably be making a video after the interview comes out talking about all of that and talking about if I think that Boogie is really handling this situation seriously like he should be. So as always, skate on, rollerbladers. I hope you stay safe out there. Please do not ignore abuse, and I hope you have a great day.